Why is silence so important? Because the human mind is often restless. It races from one thought to another, replaying the past or anticipating the future. When we speak from that state of restlessness, our words come out rushed, unclear, and sometimes even harmful. We speak just to fill the air, to defend ourselves, or to prove a point, and afterwards we regret what we said because it did not truly reflect what we felt or what we wanted to communicate. Silence gives us the pause we need to see beyond impulse. In silence, you allow your emotions to breathe and your mind to sharpen. Imagine someone insults you in a heated argument. The first instinct is to fire back with equal or greater intensity. Words rush to the tongue, fueled by anger, ready to strike. But if you allow yourself one moment of silence, just one pause, you break the cycle. In that silence, you realize that reacting with anger will only escalate the conflict, and you regain control over yourself. Instead of responding recklessly, you choose a response born of clarity. Perhaps you remain calm, perhaps you redirect the conversation, perhaps you simply walk away. Whatever the choice, it comes not from impulse, but from awareness. Silence gave you that awareness. When you practice silence before speech, you begin to notice something subtle but powerful. The weight of your words increases. People start to pay more attention to what you say because your words are not scattered. They are not rushed, they are intentional. Think of a wise teacher, a spiritual master, or a great leader. Notice how they rarely rush to speak. They pause, they allow silence to fill the space before their words. That silence does not make them weak. It makes their words stronger, because people can feel that the words carry depth. The pause itself creates anticipation, and what follows becomes more impactful. Silence also allows you to listen, and listening is perhaps the most vital part of communication. Too many people do not listen to understand, they listen to reply. They are already forming their answer while the other person is still speaking. But when you choose silence, you allow the other person's words to truly land. You absorb, you process, you reflect. And when you do respond, your words address the heart of what was said, not just the surface. This builds trust, it builds respect, it builds real connection. In our fast-paced world, silence feels uncomfortable. People are addicted to filling every gap with noise, phones, conversations, distractions. Yet silence is where insight lives. Think of a musician. The notes on a page are important, but without the spaces of silence between them, there would be no rhythm, no music, only chaos. In the same way, your words need silence to give them rhythm and meaning. Silence is not an absence of communication. It is the foundation of communication. Let me give you an example. Imagine a young professional preparing to speak at an important meeting. His mind is racing. What if I make a mistake? What if they judge me? What if I forget my points? He walks into the room already flooded with nervous energy. If he starts speaking immediately, his words will stumble, his voice will shake, and his ideas will lack impact. But instead, he takes a moment of silence, he breathes, he grounds himself, he allows the noise of fear to settle. Then, when he finally speaks, his voice carries calm confidence. His words are measured, his thoughts are clear, and the room listens. That brief silence before speech made all the difference. The truth is, silence is not emptiness. Silence is preparation. It is the sharpening of the sword before the strike. It is the steadying of the archer before releasing the arrow. It is the moment of stillness before the leap. Without silence, words become blunt, scattered, and often wasted. With silence, words pierce directly into the heart of the listener. Think also about personal relationships. Many conflicts between friends, partners, or family members are born not from what was said, but from how quickly it was said. Words spoken in heat can never be taken back, but a moment of silence before speech can change everything. It allows you to ask yourself, is what I am about to say true? Is it necessary? Will it heal or will it harm? That one pause has the power to prevent regret and replace it with understanding. Silence before speech is also a training of discipline. It is easy to let emotions control you. It is easy to let the tongue run faster than the mind, but it takes strength to pause. It takes awareness to breathe before responding, and that strength builds inner mastery. The more you practice silence, the more you realize you are not controlled by impulses. You control them, and that control gives you freedom. In the end, speaking with clarity and power is not about having the loudest voice or the most eloquent language. It is about having the discipline to pause, the wisdom to wait, and the patience to let silence prepare your words. Silence before speech is what separates noise from wisdom, reaction from response, emptiness from impact. So the next time you are about to speak, whether in conversation, in conflict, or on stage, give yourself a gift. Take a moment of silence. Allow your thoughts to settle, your emotions to calm, and your clarity to rise. Then speak, and when you do, your words will no longer be ordinary sounds. They will be precise. They will be powerful. They will be unforgettable. Simplicity is one of the purest forms of power, yet most people overlook it. They believe that sounding intelligent means using complex words, long explanations, and intricate arguments, but the truth is the opposite. The greatest communicators, thinkers, and leaders throughout history did not confuse their audiences with complexity. They reached into the very core of an idea and expressed it so clearly, so simply, that anyone could understand. That is true power. When you complicate your words, you create distance. People may nod politely, but inside they are lost. Confusion is the enemy of connection, and connection is the very essence of communication. Simplicity cuts through the fog. It opens a straight path between your mind and the mind of another. That path allows not only understanding, but trust. Why is simplicity so powerful? Because it reflects true mastery. A person who has only a shallow understanding of something often hides behind big words or complicated explanations. They are not sure of the essence, so they decorate their speech to make it sound impressive. But a person who understands deeply can explain the same idea in a single, simple sentence. Simplicity is not the absence of depth, it is the evidence of it. Think about the wisdom traditions, the great teachers of humanity. They did not deliver their messages in long, tangled philosophies. They spoke in parables, metaphors, and short truths. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Be still and know. What you think you become. These words are simple. Yet within their simplicity lies infinite depth. They can be understood by a child and meditated upon by a scholar for a lifetime. That is the strength of simplicity. Simplicity also brings clarity in action. A leader who speaks in complicated terms leaves his people confused, but a leader who communicates simply creates alignment. When instructions are simple, everyone can follow. When a vision is simple, everyone can believe. A complex plan may impress the mind for a moment, but a simple message inspires the heart for a lifetime. Consider an example. Imagine two people trying to explain the same thing. One says, in order to maximize the efficiency of this strategy, we must carefully analyze the multidimensional variables that contribute to the operational framework and ensure optimal allocation of resources. The other simply says, focus on what matters most and cut the rest. Which message will people remember? Which one creates real change? The answer is obvious. Simplicity carries weight. Simplicity is also kindness. When you choose to express yourself simply, you are not trying to prove how intelligent you are. You are not speaking to impress, but to connect. You are respecting the listener's time, attention, and energy. You are making your message accessible so it can truly serve others. Complexity often comes from ego, but simplicity comes from clarity and compassion. In personal relationships, simplicity is just as essential. When emotions rise, people tend to overcomplicate their words. They bring up the past, add layers of unnecessary detail, and confuse the issue even more. But if you can express your feelings simply, I felt hurt when this happened, or I need more support from you. Then the message lands without confusion, arguments shrink, healing begins. Simplicity clears the noise so the truth can be heard. Look also at the natural world. Nature is profound yet simple. The sun rises, the rain falls, the seed grows into a tree. The pattern of life is both infinitely complex and beautifully simple at the same time. That is why nature feels so powerful and peaceful. It does not overcomplicate, it flows. In the same way, your communication should flow with simplicity. There is another dimension to simplicity, memory. The human mind remembers simple ideas far more easily than complex ones. This is why great slogans, teachings, and lessons are always short and sharp. If you want people to not only understand you, but also remember you, make your words simple. Power does not lie in saying more. It lies in saying less, with more meaning. But simplicity is not laziness. It does not mean dumbing down your message or avoiding depth. It means doing the hard work of removing the unnecessary until only the essence remains. It is easy to speak in long, complicated terms. It is difficult to distill your message into clear, simple truth. Simplicity is discipline. It is mastery. It is refinement. Take the example of Steve Jobs, who once said, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." When Apple designed its products, the goal was not to overwhelm with complexity, but to create something so simple that anyone could use it intuitively, and because of that simplicity, their products became not just tools, but part of everyday life. In the same way, when your words are simple, they become usable. They become part of people's lives. So how do you practice simplicity? Before speaking, ask yourself, what is the essence of what I want to say? What is the single most important point? Then strip away everything that does not serve that essence. Choose words that are clear, familiar, and strong. Avoid unnecessary decoration. Speak as if you are explaining to a child, not to prove you are smart, but to ensure your message is pure. Simplicity is not emptiness, it is clarity, it is strength, it is focus. When you speak simply, people will not only hear you, they will feel you, they will not only understand, they will remember, and they will not only agree, they will be moved to act. In the end, power does not come from complexity, it comes from the courage to be simple, because simplicity reveals the truth. Simplicity creates connection. Simplicity is power. Presence is one of the most magnetic forces in human communication. When you are present, fully anchored in the moment, your words carry a weight that goes beyond language. You no longer speak only with your mouth. You speak with your energy, your attention, and your very being. And this is why presence creates impact. People may forget the exact words you use, but they never forget how it felt to be in your presence. In today's world, presence has become rare. Most people are distracted, split between the past and the future, between their phone and their thoughts, between what they want to say and what they fear others might think. When they speak, their words scatter like seeds thrown on the wind, never truly landing anywhere. But when you are present, when your mind is not racing elsewhere but fully engaged here and now, your words strike directly at the heart of the listener. They feel that you are with them, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. That is the beginning of true impact. Presence is not about speaking louder or with more authority. It is about attention. Imagine two conversations. In the first, someone listens to you while constantly glancing at their phone, nodding half-heartedly, their mind clearly elsewhere. In the second, someone listens to you with full eye contact, nodding with genuine understanding, waiting patiently before replying. Even if both people say the same words, you will feel a world of difference. One drains you, the other nourishes you. The difference is presence. When you cultivate presence before you speak, your words take on a different tone. They no longer sound rushed or forced. They come from a place of calm, a place of grounding. This calm transfers to the listener. They feel safer, more attentive, and more open. Presence is contagious. When you are present, you draw others into presence as well. Think about a great leader or a mentor you admire. Often, it is not the complexity of their speeches that makes them memorable, but the way they made you feel when they spoke. They seemed to speak to you, not just to the crowd. They were not distracted. They were not rehearsing answers in their head. They were here, fully alive in the moment. That is why their words had impact. Presence also creates authenticity. When you are fully present, you cannot hide behind masks. You cannot fake attention or pretend to care. Presence strips away the layers of performance and leaves only truth. And people can feel that. Human beings have a natural sense for authenticity. We may not always be able to explain it, but we can always feel it. When someone speaks with true presence, the words go deeper, because the listener senses they are real. Presence is also about listening before speaking. True presence means you are not rehearsing your response while someone else is still talking. You are not waiting for your turn to speak. You are absorbing. You are allowing their words to land fully before forming your own, and because of this, your response is more accurate, more thoughtful, and more impactful. Too many people communicate as if it were a competition of who can speak the most. But presence shifts the game entirely. It is no longer about speaking more. It is about speaking with depth. Here is a simple but powerful example. Imagine a teacher in a classroom. One teacher is distracted, constantly checking their notes, rushing through the lesson, barely making eye contact. The students lose interest quickly. Another teacher walks in, pauses for a moment, looks at the students directly, and begins speaking slowly, clearly, with full attention on the room. The words themselves might be similar, but the second teacher has the full presence that demands respect and attention. Students lean in, eager to listen. The difference is not the content, but the presence. Presence also creates impact in personal relationships. Think about someone you love. When you are with them but distracted, half your attention on your phone, they feel neglected. But when you put everything aside, look them in the eye and truly listen, they feel valued. And when you finally speak, your words carry the weight of that attention. They believe you, they trust you, they feel connected to you. This is the power of presence. The practice of presence requires discipline. It means training your mind not to wander. It means choosing to put aside distractions and focus fully on the moment in front of you. It means breathing deeply before you speak, anchoring yourself in the here and now. Over time, this discipline becomes natural, and presence becomes your default state. When this happens, your communication transforms completely. Some people think presence is about charisma, but true presence is not about performing or trying to impress. True presence is about being real, right now, without splitting yourself between many different thoughts. It is about being fully alive in this exact moment. That simple practice makes you magnetic, because so few people truly embody it. When you combine presence with speech, you unlock impact. Your words no longer just inform, they influence. They no longer just fill the air, they shift the atmosphere. They no longer just touch the ear, they touch the heart. And this is why presence is one of the greatest keys to speaking with power. So, when you next find yourself in a conversation, a meeting, or a speech, remember this. The strength of your words does not come only from vocabulary, knowledge, or tone. It comes from your presence. Silence your inner noise, put away your distractions, anchor yourself fully in the moment, then speak, and when you do, your words will not only be heard, they will be felt. Because in the end, presence is not about how much you say, it is about how deeply your words land, and presence is what gives them that depth. Structure is the hidden skeleton of powerful communication. Most people underestimate it because they think clarity is only about choosing the right words. But the truth is, even the most beautiful words lose their impact if they are scattered without order. Structure is what takes raw thoughts and organizes them into a path that others can walk across. Without structure, your message is like a pile of bricks, full of potential but useless. With structure, those same bricks become a bridge that connects your mind to the mind of another. When you speak without structure, your listeners may hear your words but not understand your point. They may grasp fragments but lose sight of the whole picture. You might leave them confused, overwhelmed, or uninterested. But when you speak with structure, you guide them step by step, like a leader holding a lantern in the dark. They know where you are taking them, and they follow willingly. This is why structure is so powerful. It creates connection through clarity. Think about storytelling. Why are stories remembered far more than random facts? Because stories have structure, a beginning, a conflict, a resolution. That structure makes them easy to follow and easy to recall. A powerful speech, a meaningful conversation, even a heartfelt apology. When they follow a clear structure, they do not just inform, they transform. Structure is also respect. It shows that you value the listener's time and attention. If your words wander without direction, you are asking others to do the work of making sense of your thoughts. But if you organize your ideas with care, you lighten their burden. You lead them clearly. People naturally respect and remember those who make understanding easier. A simple structure that has worked for centuries is this. Tell them what you are going to say it, and then remind them of what you said. This may sound overly simple, but it works because the human mind likes patterns, it likes order. When your speech has a clear introduction, a strong middle, and a clean conclusion, it feels complete. Without that, it feels unfinished, no matter how clever the words. Consider an example. Imagine you are asked to give advice to a young student who is struggling with motivation. Without structure, you might say, "You know, motivation is tricky. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't, but discipline is important too. I think if you just try harder and stay positive, things will get better. And remember, life is about patience." While the advice is well-meaning, it feels scattered. The listener may not know what to take away. Now, imagine you use structure. You begin by saying, "There are 3 keys that will help you overcome this challenge: discipline, patience, and focus." You then explain each one clearly, with a short example for each. Finally, you conclude, "So remember, discipline builds your foundation, patience keeps you steady, and focus moves you forward. Keep these 3, and motivation will follow." The words are simple, but the structure makes them powerful. The student now has a clear map to follow. Structure is not only for public speaking, it is essential in everyday life. Think about arguments between loved ones. Many conflicts spiral not because of disagreement, but because the conversation lacks structure. One person jumps from one complaint to another, bringing up the past, mixing emotions with facts, leaving the other person overwhelmed. But if the speaker used structure, explaining first what the issue is, second how it made them feel, and third what they hope will change, the conversation becomes clearer and more productive. Structure prevents chaos and invites resolution. Great communicators know that structure is not about being rigid, it is about being purposeful. Even when they speak spontaneously, their thoughts follow a natural order. This comes from practice. The more you practice structuring your thoughts, the more naturally it flows, until it becomes second nature. Your speech no longer stumbles or meanders. It flows like a river toward its destination. Another dimension of structure is rhythm. Every good piece of communication has a rhythm, a rise, a pause, a climax, and a close. Without rhythm, speech feels flat. With rhythm, it feels alive. This is why great orators use pauses, repetition, and transitions. These are tools of structure that keep the audience engaged and make the message memorable. Think of a bridge again. A bridge does not just connect 2 sides, it also supports the weight of those who walk on it. Similarly, your structure must support the weight of your listener's attention. Attention is fragile. If your words are scattered, the bridge collapses and they stop listening. But if your structure is strong, it carries them from the beginning of your message all the way to the end without losing them along the way. Structure also helps you as the speaker. Without structure, you may feel nervous, lost, or unsure of what to say next. But with structure, you have a map. You know where you are going, and that confidence shows. Your mind is free to focus on delivery because you are not struggling to organize your thoughts in real time. Structure gives you control. Ultimately, structure is not about restricting your message, it is about freeing it. Just as water flows more powerfully when guided by the banks of a river, your words flow more powerfully when guided by structure. Without it, they scatter and lose strength. With it, they move with purpose and force. So when you prepare to speak, ask yourself, what is the core message I want to deliver? How can I guide the listener from point A to point B without losing them? What beginning will capture attention? What middle will build understanding? What ending will leave them changed? When you answer these questions, you create a bridge, one that others can cross with ease. Remember, even the most brilliant ideas mean little if they cannot be understood. Structure is what makes understanding possible. It is what turns noise into meaning, words into wisdom, and speech into impact. So build your words as you would build a bridge, with intention, with order, with strength. And when you do, your thoughts will not just be heard, they will be carried into the minds and hearts of others, where they can create real change. Alignment makes you authentic, and authenticity is the foundation of true power in communication. When your words and your life move in different directions, people can sense it instantly. You might speak eloquently, you might decorate your message with charm and cleverness, but if your actions contradict your words, your speech loses its force. Authenticity is not created through performance, it is born from alignment. When what you say reflects who you are, your words stop being empty sounds and become living truth. Human beings have an intuitive ability to sense inconsistency. We may not always consciously analyze it, but we feel it. A leader who talks about honesty but is dishonest in private quickly loses respect. A teacher who preaches discipline but lives in chaos cannot inspire true discipline in others. But a person whose words match their life carries an invisible weight. They do not need to convince people, they embody their message, and that embodiment speaks louder than words ever could. Alignment is integrity in motion. It means that your values, your beliefs, your choices, and your speech all point in the same direction. This kind of unity creates strength. When you are aligned, you do not have to remember your performance or maintain a mask. You simply speak from truth, and truth has a frequency that cuts through noise. It touches people because it is real. Consider this. Why do we respect those who have endured hardship and then speak about resilience? Because they are not merely sharing ideas, they are sharing lived experience. Their words carry the weight of scars, of battles fought, of lessons learned. In contrast, someone who speaks about resilience but has never practiced it in their own life may sound convincing for a moment, but the impact will fade quickly. The difference is alignment. Authenticity also creates trust. Trust is the currency of all human connection. Without it, communication collapses. But when your words consistently match your actions, people begin to trust you. And with trust, your influence grows. You no longer need to argue endlessly to prove your point. Your life has already proven it. People listen not only to what you say, but to who you are. Let's take an example. Imagine two health coaches. One constantly talks about the importance of fitness, discipline, and healthy living, but lives with no consistency, skipping workouts, eating poorly, and lacking energy. The other speaks less, but lives exactly what he teaches. His body, his energy, his lifestyle all reflect his message. Who will people follow? Not the one with the most words, but the one with the most alignment. Authenticity, born from alignment, is magnetic. Alignment also brings peace within yourself. When your words and actions are in conflict, there is an inner tension. You feel as though you are performing rather than living. But when you are aligned, there is no tension. Your speech flows easily because it arises naturally from the way you live. This ease gives your voice strength. People feel your confidence not because you are rehearsing it, but because you are living it. But alignment is not perfection. It does not mean you must live without mistakes. Authentic people are not flawless. They are honest. They do not pretend to be more than they are. They admit when they stumble, but they also rise again and continue to align their actions with their principles. This honesty is what gives them credibility. Listeners do not expect perfection, they expect truth, and truth is found in alignment, not in performance. Think about how alignment influences personal relationships. If you tell a loved one, "You are important to me," but your actions consistently show neglect, your words lose value. But if your words are supported by daily acts of attention, care, and respect, then even the simplest "I care about you" will have profound impact. The authenticity of alignment turns ordinary words into extraordinary expressions of love and trust. In leadership, alignment is even more critical. Teams do not follow leaders because of titles, they follow because of trust. A leader who demands hard work but does not work hard themselves, who speaks about vision but leaves without clarity, loses the respect of their people. But a leader who embodies the very qualities they ask of others creates loyalty. Their authenticity inspires others to rise to the same standard. Again, the power does not come from words, it comes from alignment. Practicing alignment requires awareness. It requires asking yourself, do my actions reflect what I believe? Do my words reflect how I live? Am I speaking truth or am I performing? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Because when you find the gaps between what you say and what you do, you find the exact places where growth is needed. Closing those gaps is how you build authenticity. Over time, alignment becomes a habit. The more you align your words with your life, the more natural it feels. And the more natural it feels, the more powerful your speech becomes. When you say, "I believe in perseverance," it lands differently if you have lived it. When you say, "I value honesty," it carries a different weight if honesty defines your choices. Words alone are fragile, but words backed by a life of alignment are unshakable. Remember this, the world is not only listening to what you say, it is watching how you live. The most powerful message you will ever deliver is not spoken from your mouth, but lived through your example. When your words and your actions are aligned, you become authentic, and authenticity creates impact far beyond what language alone can achieve. So if you wish to speak with true power, stop focusing only on how to say the right words. Focus instead on living them. Speak less, leave more. When your life becomes your message, your speech becomes unstoppable. Alignment makes you authentic, and authenticity is what gives your voice the power to move not only minds, but hearts.